Good day, greeting students. I am very happy to meet you all again in grade 12 economics. We are discussing IED, Indian Economic Development, and we are in chapter 5 where we are discussing about human capital formation in India. So what is human capital? Just like how physical resources are transformed into physical capital, similarly human resources are transformed into human capital. Now what do we mean by these human capital, or what are the sources of human capital? Means the sources of human capital are first education. சோர்சஸ்னால் நம்ம என்ன சொல்கிறோம், எது மூலியமாக நம்ம ஹியூமன் கேபிட்டலை க்ரியேட் பண்ணுறோன்னா இது மூலியமாக. நார்மலாக இருக்கிற ஒருத்தரை ஒரு கேபிட்டலாக நம்ம எப்படி ஷிஃப்ட் பண்ண முடியும்? ஹவு கேன் வி மேக் தெம் ஏர்ன் இன் அ பெட்டர் வே? ஹவு கேன் வி மேக் தெம் கான்ட்ரிபியூட் டுவர்ட்ஸ் த ஜிடிபி இன் அ பெட்டர் வே? ஸோ எக்கனாமிக்ஸில் ஏன் ஹியூமன் கேபிட்டல் பற்றி நம்ம டிஸ்கஸ் பண்ணுறோம் அப்படின்னா, a better labor can work for better hours in a better manner so that it will increase the productivity of the particular labor, and it in turn will induce or increase the GDP of the country, national income of the country. எப்பவுமே ஒரு educated person ஓட salary will always be higher when compared to that of an illiterate person. So similarly, a healthy person's salary will always be better than that of a sick person. So இதுக்காக தான் நம்ம sources of human capital என்ன இம்பார்ட்டண்ட்டாக ரெண்டு விஷயம் டிஸ்கஸ் பண்ணியிருக்கோம். One is education, another one is called health. This is also very important for a labor, and we have discussed about on the job training. I would call it only training, because whether it is on the job or off the job, it is decided by the organization. நம்ம business studiesல discuss பண்ண மாதிரி it can be either on the job or off the job. It differs. என்னவா இருந்தாலும் it is a training. Training is supposed to be training. So அதில் எந்த சேஞ்சஸோ அதில் எந்த கரெக்ஷன்ஸோ இல்லை. Fine. So let us keep it only to training and not specialize it in name of on the job training or off the job training. Okay, then we have migration. What is migration? Moving from one place to another place. So poverty la நம்ம என்ன டிஸ்கஸ் பண்ணோம், the urban poor is actually the overflow of rural poor. நமக்கு rural placesல சரியான work opportunity இல்லை அப்படின்னா we move in search of better work opportunities. So அது migration. The expenditures you incur for your migration is actually an investment for human capital. Yeah, there you get better working opportunities. Fine, that is why we keep moving in search of better jobs. We keep migrating always. Okay, and finally what are the various things we have discussed? We have discussed about education, health, training, migration and information. Information is always wealth, so it is always used in a positive manner. So the expenditures you incur on all these things is actually called as an investment. ஏன் அப்படின்னா இதெல்லாமே human resources human capital shift பண்ணுது. But what is a thing that we have discussed through human resources and human development, human capital and human development அப்படின்னா, in human capital formation it is only about productivity, labor productivity, countryக்கு எப்படி monetarily யூஸ் ஆகும் மட்டும்தான் பார்க்குறோம். But when we talk about the human development, we really feel how it will what impact will it create on that person's future. So நம்ம training and developmentல என்ன difference பார்த்துருக்கோம்? Development is career development for their long run. அதே மாதிரி human capital is only seeing monetarily. ஒரு person எதுக்கு educatedஆக இருக்கணும்? To earn more. ஒரு person ஏன் healthyயாக இருக்கணும்? To earn more, to give good results. அதுவே human development point of view la why does a person need education? because he needs, everybody has a right towards education. எல்லாருக்குமே லிட்ரேட்டா இருக்கிறதுக்கு உரிமை இருக்கு. Healthy, all of us should be basically healthy for our survival, for our health reason. அது productivity தாண்டின விஷயமா நம்ம பார்க்குறோம். So that is the difference between human capital and human development. So we come to a conclusion that it is not only essential that a country concentrates on the human capital formation, but it should also think about human development. And what are the various reports that we discussed? It said that India is very strong in creating all these sources. இந்த sources எல்லாமே நம்மக்கிட்ட இருக்கு. Fine, the migration is possible, the training is given, information is abundant, education and health is offered. அப்படிங்கிறப்போ what is important here to know, India has all these sources of capital formation, human capital formation. So with such sources, with such wealthy sources, we definitely can become, or we definitely can reach a new height, is what people have predicted about us. Yes, of course, we have those resources, but are we using them in the proper way is the question. கொடுக்குறாங்க, education facilities are there, health benefits are there, but is it reaching the people? Is it reaching the right people at the right time properly is the question. Fine, if it reaches so, then definitely India will be in a wonderful position. இதையே நம்ம தெரிஞ்சுக்கிறோம் அப்படின்னா, because as economists, tomorrow you would want to know the expenditures we spend on human capital formation, because we see human resources are the assets to any company or to any nation. So அப்படிங்கிறப்போ you as economist should know what is their value and how you can improve them, how you can create them. So it should not be kept only in monetary terms, but also in terms of their own development also. Fine. Now we are moving on to discuss about the state of human capital formation in India. How are we doing it? State of human capital state of human capital formation in India. So we have seen it. These sources are the important sources of human capital. இது எல்லாமே நம்ம கண்ட்ரியில் இருக்குன்னு நம்ம பார்த்துட்டோம். But how is it provided? How does it reach or where we are? அப்படிங்கிற டிஸ்கஷன் தான் we are going to do in this. So education and health are very very important. மீதி எல்லாமே it lies in hands of people. But education and health is basically required for every human being. எல்லாருக்குமே right to education and right to being healthy ன்னு இருக்கு. So when it comes to their physiological needs, it comes here. Okay, so those two play very important role as sources of human capital formation. And in this, what are we going to discuss? Our country is a federal country with different levels of government. What levels of government do we have? We have union government, that is the central government also we have. Then we have the state government, and we do have the local governments, the panchayats. For every district we have an MP or an MLA, right, to take care of us. Okay, so all these take up efforts towards health and education. So in the மூணு level of government மே health and education க்கு உண்டான contribution யோ இல்ல அதுக்கு உண்டான கேரையோ கொடுத்துட்டு தான் இருக்காங்க. The constitution excuse me, the Constitution of India mentions the functions to be carried out by each level of government. So constitution la clear state aayirukku already. And what is that? Accordingly, expenditures on both education and health are incurred, okay, are carried out simultaneously by all three tiers in government. So what is important here? Expenses, or let me call it investment, because capital now we call it as an investment, not an expense, on health and education. What do we do with that? Should be done by all three tiers of government. Okay, it should be done by all three tiers of government. Adavadhu union government la irundhu or certain policies will come for education and health. Similarly, state government la or policy irukum, local government la vera policy irukum. For example, for health, okay, for health if you take union government, the central government, it gives certain benefits to people. Ellarukku common ah country la irukra ellarukku common ah avanga oru system kondu varuvanga. When you take about the state government, each state has a certain policy. Nammaloda state ah poruthalavu we have these insurance thing, then we have this ID card for people who are below poverty line for getting benefits, காப்பீட்டு திட்டம் அந்த மாதிரி இருக்கு. And local governments, they organize certain health camps பண்றாங்க இல்லையா, they organize certain health camps. முக்கியமா they take it forward. எங்க ஊர்ல இது தேவைன்னு கொண்டு போறது யாருன்னா the local government should take up that responsibility, saying that we need such benefits. So இப்போ mini clinics வந்தாச்சு அப்படின்னா, right from today we are going to have mini clinics. So mini clinicsல என்ன benefit அப்படின்னா, we need to study in depth mini clinics. So hospitals la irukra kootatha thavirkradhukaga we go for mini clinics. So here any small illness, ipo irukra pandemic situation la we all are getting scared to go to hospitals. If you compare other than earlier times, nowadays we kind of take care of ourselves through home remedies. நிறைய home remedies ஃபாலோ பண்ண ஆரம்பிச்சிட்டோம். ரொம்ப எமர்ஜென்சி நம்மளுக்கே முடியாத சுச்சுவேஷனில் மட்டும்தான் நம்ம ஹாஸ்பிட்டல்ஸ்க்கு போகிறோம். we have a fear that whether we will also be contagious towards these diseases. So அப்படிங்கிறப்போ these mini clinics are there to take care of simple injuries or immediate first aid benefits. அதுக்காக இந்த mini clinics கொண்டு வந்திருக்காங்க. Fine. So these mini clinics, are they available all over the country? No. It is introduced by our state government. Fine. So health it is done by all three tiers of government. Similarly only education also is given by each tier of government. So Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan அப்படிங்கிறது it is a policy of the union government. Everybody has a right to education அப்படிங்கிறது it is a policy of the Indian government. State government என்ன பண்றாங்க? They give free laptops, they induce students to come, midday meal system ஆ இருக்கலாம், or giving them free books. இது எல்லாமே state government ஓட inducement. What are the local governments doing in this அப்படின்னா, they create awareness, they take census, or the teachers go and canvass children to come to school. Okay, we can see in April, May, we can see the teachers going to the homes of children and telling the need of education, what are the benefits do they get, and finding out. இதெல்லாம் பண்றது local governments. So the expenses that are incurred on education or health should be done by all three tiers of government. Tiers na levels. TIERS. Tiers means levels. Okay, so ஸோ எல்லா இந்த 3 கவர்மெண்ட்டாலேயும் இது செய்யப்படுது. Understood? So before we take up the analysis of education sector, we will look into the need of government intervention in education sector. Why does government intervene? Okay, after 1991's reforms, private sectors have been given permissions to run institutions. What is the need of government to intervene? அப்படிங்கிறது தான் first question. So education and healthcare services create both private and social benefits, and this is the reason for the existence of both private and public institutions in the education and health in the market. So what do we have? We have both private and public institutions. Let it be hospitals or let it be schools. ரெண்டுத்துலேயுமே இருக்குது. ப்ரைவேட் இன்ஸ்டிடியூஷன்ஸும் இருக்குது, பப்ளிக் இன்ஸ்டிடியூஷன்ஸும் இருக்குது. ஃபைன். எக்ஸ்பெண்டிச்சர்ஸ் ஆன் எஜுகேஷன் அண்ட் ஹெல்த் மேக் சப்ஸ்டான்ஷியலி லாங் டேர்ம் இம்பேக்ட் அண்ட் தே cannot be easily reversed. Hence government intervention is essential. ஏன் அப்படின்னா these are heavy expenses and long term expenses. These cannot be reversed. Can it be taken back? ஒரு ஃபீ பே பண்ணதுக்கு அப்புறமா அது திருப்பி வரும்னா வராது. அதே மாதிரி when you have admitted in hospital and you have paid a fees, ஒரு டெஸ்ட் எடுத்தாச்சு அதுக்கு நம்ம பே பண்ணுறோம் அப்படின்னா it can't be reversed. அதுக்கு பதிலாக you enjoy the service only. அப்படிங்கிறப்போ if at all they do not get all right அப்படிங்கிறப்போ then there is a damage done இல்லையா. So by the time the institution is changed or by the time the hospital person is changing the patient ங்கிற வரைக்கும் there is some damage done. Okay, for instance, once a child is admitted to a school or healthcare center where the required services are not provided ங்கிறத விட couldn't be provided னு வெச்சுக்கலாம். So if it is couldn't be provided or not provided, private institutions, not all the institutions are bad, not all the institutions are good. நம்ம மூவிஸ்ல பார்க்குற மாதிரி when we hear in news, there are certain institutions who take profit as their motive. என்னதான் the health, education, service sectorனு இருந்தாலும் they still take up profit as their motive. இதெல்லாம் actually non-profit organizations, but still they take profit as their motive ங்கிறப்போ the people might get exploited. Fine. And before this decision is taken to shift the child to another institution, substantial amount of damage would have been done. ஒரு ஸ்கூலில் அட்மிட் பண்ணியாச்சு, அந்த ஸ்கூலில் எதுவுமே கேர் பண்ணல, அவங்க வந்து ப்ராப்பர் ஃபெசிலிட்டிஸ் இல்லை, நான் அந்த ஸ்டூடெண்ட்டை வேறு ஸ்கூலுக்கு நான் ஷிஃப்ட் பண்ண ட்ரை பண்ணுறேன்னா half of the year would have gone or 1 year of education is lost. இல்லை ஒரு ஹாஸ்பிட்டல் சிச்சுவேஷன் அப்படின்னா there will be some health issues இல்லையா. அவங்களுக்கு போய் ஃபஸ்ட் எய்ட் பண்ணி இந்நேரத்துக்கு நான் ஹாஸ்பிட்டல் கொண்டு போயிருந்தா சரியாக இருந்திருக்குமே, that kind of some impact, okay, might happen. Some impact would be there. Individual consumers of these services do not have complete information about the quality of services and their cost. ஒரு ஸ்கூலுக்கோ இல்லை ஒரு ஹாஸ்பிட்டலுக்கோ போகணுன்னு நினைக்கிறவங்க they do not have or they do not know the quality of the services. Not everybody has the quality of the services, they know about it. In this situation, the providers of education and health services acquire monopoly power. Institutions might acquire monopoly power and get into exploiting exploitation. This might also happen, so which is not good. So to prevent that only government intervenes. Fine. So government will ensure that the private sectors of these services are there to the standards. Okay, government license vaangrom illaya. A school means it gets affiliation, it gets permission from the government or the head board. If CBSE na adu or board irukna, we have to get affiliated with them. What is meant by this affiliation? We have to go through a process of ensuring the government that we follow all the standards given by the government. Government o illa in the education board o kuduthirukra standards na follow pandrenu, we need to prove them. Only when we do that we get this affiliation. So idhula government enna panna mudiyum? If they find that certain educational institutions are not following these standards, then they might cancel their permission or license or affiliation. Idhe madri da hospitals ku nadakkum. Okay, so for each we have certain institutions to look after them or to accredit them with the highest thing. So ipo hospitals ku paathona, we have, wait, I'll come to that. Government ensures standardization. The prescribed standards, are they followed or not? This will be verified by government. Who verifies this? Appadina government verifies this. Okay, whether it is done or not ingirudhu yaar verify panva? The government verifies whether the prescribed standards are followed. So the institutions that are so these are certain important accreditations or approvals given by the government of India. So idhila vandu sila institutions mattum da idhila enroll pannirka mudiyum. So we have the NABET and NABH. So if you see the hospitals, if it is given as NABH accredited, then it is said to be following certain standards and in a very good manner. NABH accredited nu potirukom. You just verify if it is given. And NABET is for education. So if there are any private institutions, avanga enna pannalana, they can prove, they can submit certain documents and they can prove that they are keeping up the standards, and that too in a very well manner. They will get the NABET accreditation. Fine. So affiliation girde basic for a school. Accreditation girde, it is an extra credit to an institution. So you can just go browse what are the NABH accredited hospitals and NABET accredited institutions. Fine. So we can have these either ida patti nama padikrom appadina, that government has a hold. They are cautious about the institutions they allow to run. Chumma edho or institution open panniyachu run pandron illama, they have certain rules and regulations, standardization to be followed by these institutions. Edukaga? To avoid exploitation. And that is why government intervenes, okay, in situations where people are exploited and make them fix the right price. What do we have next? The ministries of education at the union and state level departments of education and various organizations like NCERT and training, NCERT, UGC and AICTE facilitate institutions which come under the education sector. So health we will be discussing in chapter 8. So discussing about education sector, we have NCERT, then UGC and AICTE. What are these institutions or organizations doing? These will take care or these will give the guidelines for the institutions which are in education sector. The ministries of health at the union and state level, departments of health and various organizations like ICMR facilitate institutions which come under health. For health, we have ICMR and IMS, Indian Medical, IMA, right? Indian Medical Association. In a developing country like ours with a large section of population living below the poverty line, last chapter we discussed only 6.7% are there below poverty line, but that is even large only, poverty irukka kudadu. So we will not say large section of the population, we will say a section of the population living under the poverty line. Many of us cannot afford to access basic needs. In the madri health and education basic needs da aanalum we cannot afford towards it. So adanala da government runs certain institutions. Understood? So a substantial section of our people cannot afford to reach superior specialty healthcare and higher education. What can be the examples here we can give? So if there is a diseases, do not look into whether these people are above poverty line or below poverty line. Diseases or illness or accident, it doesn't happen only to upper class people or to rich people. It will happen to anybody. At times we can't afford to get a superior health care. Cancer, andha madri sila illness kalla, it is a long time therapy, it is a long time treatment, it's a costly treatment. So abdingirappo government intervenes there to afford them, to help them with such benefits. Adhe madri da higher education ku they give scholarship, they kind of help you. Government colleges run pandranga, medical colleges run pandranga, they give you certain benefits, adula or quota or reservation, somehow they are giving this access to everybody. It's the point here. When basic education and healthcare is considered as a right of the citizen, it is essential that the government should provide education and health services free of cost for the deserving citizens. It should provide free education and health to deserving citizens. Eppadi deserving nama paakrom based on the poverty line, based on their income status. Really marks edukku paakranga based on that. Okay. So union and state governments, they have been stepping up expenditures in education and attaining 10% literacy. So government oda aim enna, government basic education, nama higher education apra paakalam, but basic education should be given 10% literacy. First thing, when you are literate, you would get a good job, you would increase or you will improve your standard of living. Okay, so that is very, very essential. So we should ensure that and considerably increase the average educational attainment of India. So when you are literates, we obviously will start to think differently to improve our standard of living and to take care of ourselves. So when we improve our standard of living, obviously we can pull out people from below poverty line. We can set up a good life for them also. Actually, they can set up a good life for themselves rather than we helping them. Okay. The next topic is education sector in India. Growth in government expenditure on education. It is actually a deleted topic. You can just go into it and just go through what are the points discussed. If at all you have any doubts, yes, of course, you can ask me. Okay, but since it's a deleted topic, we are not getting deeper into it, but I want you to know about it. Government எங்கெல்லாம் spend பண்றாங்க educationக்கு, என்ன மாதிரி spend பண்றாங்க, what are the policies they have, what are the rules and regulations they follow. Let it be Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan, or let it be RTE facility, or let it be giving them free books, let it be like giving online classes over television. How do they take education for everybody to the next level? Basic education facilities எல்லாருக்கும் கிடைக்க government எடுக்கிற steps என்னென்ன? Those are given in that topic. So it's not a very difficult topic. You can study it by yourself. Even after discussing, even after studying that you didn't understand it, then you can definitely ask me. Okay. The next topic, the final topic of chapter 3 that we are discussing is future prospects. So we have discussed the past. Next, what do we have to know? Definitely our future prospects, especially in education. Education பொறுத்தளவு என்ன மாதிரி இருக்கு, what is the situation and what can we expect in the future is going to be our discussion. So education for all, still a distant dream. So topic given, is it true that even though many rules and regulations are there, is it still education is not available to everybody? அதையும் தாண்டி இத்தனை government policy rules, strict ஆன rules இருக்கு. That is, if parents do not allow their children to school till 14 years, to study till 14 years of their age, then we can file a case against them. அந்த மாதிரி rules and regulations இருக்கப்போ what is preventing us? So we know that literacy rate has increased. Seeing that table, we can understand that literacy rates have increased both for adults as well as for children. But what is there? Still illiterates are there. But still illiteracy prevails in the nation. என்னதான் இது முடிஞ்சிட்டாலும் illiteracy still prevails in the nation. Okay. So 1950, when the Constitution of India was passed by the Constituent Assembly, it was noted in the directive principles of Constitution that the government should provide free and compulsory education for all children up to the age of 14 years within 10 years from the commencement of the education. அதாவது 1950 when the constitution was released, within 10 years, that is before 1960, students or children whoever is within 14 years should be educated ன்றது ஒரு ரூலாவே கொண்டு வந்தாங்க. பட் did it happen அப்படின்னா no, actually no. 1950-60 அது நடந்துச்சானா இல்லை. illiteracy was still there at that time. ஓகே, பட் நவ் வி ஹவ் இம்ப்ரூவ்ட். நவ் அதெல்லாம் தாண்டி அதுக்கெல்லாம் ஃபெசிலிட்டேட் பண்ணி நம்ம நிறைய விஷயம் கொண்டு வந்தாச்சு. அட் தட் டைம் தி பாவர்ட்டி வாஸ் மோர், அன்எம்ப்ளாய்மெண்ட் நிறைய இருந்துச்சு. ஸோ என்ன பண்ணணும், நமக்கு ஃபேமிலி பாப்புலேஷன் வாஸ் ஹெவி, ஏர்ன் பண்ணித்தான் ஆகணுங்கிறப்ப வி எம்ப்ளாய்ட் ஈவன் சில்ட்ரன் இன் ஒர்க். ஸோ அதெல்லாம் தாண்டி நம்ம நிறைய ஸ்டெப்ஸ் வந்துட்டோம். நவ் இட் ஹஸ் இன்க்ரீஸ்ட். த லிட்ரஸி ரேட் ஹஸ் கன்சிடரபிளி இன்க்ரீஸ்டு நவ். But did we attain 10% literacy? Na illa. Okay, still we need to work on it. Okay, the next topic that we are going to discuss is gender equity. Is it happening? Earlier it is only that men are allowed to study, girls are padikirada. No way. Who was the first judge அப்படின்னா you need to think. But we have first women of everything னு ஒரு பெரிய லிஸ்ட் வச்சுருக்கோம். first women judge, first women pilot, first women prime minister, first women president. We have everywhere. first women astronaut, first women to land. நிறைய first women வச்சுருக்கோம். ஏன் அப்படின்னா earlier it was a dream for women to go for education. It is the birth month of Bharatiyar and he dreamt that women also should be equally given opportunities of education. அவங்களும் வந்து என்ன செய்யணும், அவங்களுக்கும் எல்லா ஆப்பர்ச்சுனிட்டிஸும் இருக்குது. They can even do it. He actually imposed the point very much that women empowerment is essential. Women empowerment இன்னைக்கு ஆரம்பிக்கல, recent pastல ஆரம்பிக்கல. It started from the dream of Subramanya Bharatiyar. He said so many things about women empowerment. His words are kept as a guideline towards women empowerment. So இது சொல்லிருக்கா, இது நடந்துருச்சா, okay fine. But earlier it was a very very distant truth. So there is one story about him, even Subramanya Bharatiyar. Earlier, he doesn't usually bring his wife out of his home. He speaks about it. Women empowerment பற்றி பேசுறதுக்கு முன்னாடி இருந்து he doesn't bring his wife out and no one from his street did. But he was actually influenced by a woman. ஒரு லேடி ஒரு மீட்டிங்கில் அவங்க வந்து where is your wife கேட்குறப்போ she doesn't come out, she stays at home அப்படிங்கிறப்போ that lady actually she teased him. How, like, you speak so much but you don't even bring. So that kind of sparked in him and he started taking his wife everywhere out. He just told her to get educated and all those things. That is where he got influenced. Andha madri there was someone who influenced and he was actually a great influence. Women empowerment patti pesirappo we never forget to quote him because he dreamt so much about it. Earlier it was not true, but now gender equity is better than before is the point. Adavadhu the status of women has considerably improved. We are being we are actually getting equal opportunities everywhere. There is no field that a woman has not touched. Army there is women, Navy there is women, military women, everywhere, Air Force women. We have women auto drivers, everywhere. There is nothing that only men can do and women cannot do. So women get equal opportunity. Namak girls ku equal opportunity for education. Yena Sarva Siksha Abhiyan அப்படின்னா everybody should ஸ்டடிங்கிறதானே தவிர இட் இஸ் நத்திங் அபவுட் மென் ஆர் விமென். அந்த டிஃப்ரென்ஷியேஷனே இருக்கக்கூடாது. ஓகே, சேவ் கேர்ள் சைல்டு அப்படிங்கிறது தட் வாஸ் ஒன் பிக் ப்ரோக்ராம். ஏன் அப்படின்னா யூ ஷுட் நாட் டிஸ்கிரிமினேட். கேர்ள் இன்ஃபான்டிசைட் நிறைய நடந்துட்டு இருந்துச்சு, ஃபீமேல் இன்ஃபான்டிசைட். தட் வாஸ் ப்ரிவென்டட். ஏன் அப்படின்னா வி ஸ்டார்டட் பிகமிங் அவேர் Okay, so the difference in literacy rates between males and females are narrowing, signifying a positive impact. We have a positive impact women are given equal opportunities. There is no field that is ruled only by a man, and there is no field that is ruled only by women nowadays. Earlier we couldn't find male nurses. Nurses now only women, but now today you can find male nurses also. So இது வந்து women sector, இது வந்து male sector, இதில் men தான் இருக்கணும், இதில் women தான் இருக்கணுங்கிற inequality இல்லை. We are equal. Okay, so gender equality is great, and it all started through education. Okay, so the need to promote education for women in India is imminent for various reasons, such as improving economic independence and social status of women, and also because women education makes a favorable impact on fertility rate and health care of women and children. We cannot complain about the upward moment in the literacy rate, and we have miles to go in achieving 10% literacy. And aim pandradena, we still aim at the 10% literacy rate, both men and women. The next topic is higher education. Sorry, basic education is given by government, basic health opportunities given by government, but higher education ku evlo per ready ah irukanga? How many people prefer to take up this higher education? How many of them are eager towards getting higher education? Abdina, it is less. The Indian education pyramid is steep, indicating lesser and lesser number of people reaching the higher education level. So eppadi irukku abdina, so basic education nariya per edukrom, adukaprom konjam koraidhu, aprom konjam koraidhu, aprom konjam koraidhu. There are very few who take the higher education. So idi ippudi or pyramid madri irukku. Yeah, because basic education is made available, எல்லாருக்கும் equal available பண்ணியாச்சு. But how many of them opt for higher education அப்படின்னா very less. The level of unemployment among educated youth is the highest, and the rate of unemployment among youth males who studied graduation and above in rural area was 19%. என்ன படிச்சாலும் வேலை கிடைக்கலங்கிற பாயிண்ட் இருக்கு. The unemployment in youth, educated youth, is the highest. அதுதான் மேக்ஸிமமே இருக்குது. பிகாஸ் we say like நான் இதான் படித்தேன், நான் இதுக்கு தான் வேலைக்கு போவேன். So when we have such thoughts, you know, we can't get employment opportunity so easily. So அப்படிங்கிறப்போ should I go for any job that comes in my way? அப்படியும் கிடையாது. You can facilitate yourself to get the job that you want to. Okay, the urban counterparts are relatively less level of unemployment. The most severely affected ones were young rural female graduates, as nearly 30% of them were unemployed. In contrast of this, only 3 to 6% of primary level educated youth in rural and urban areas were unemployed. So நம்ம பார்த்தோம் அப்படின்னா, if you see the statistics, primary education மட்டும் இருந்த unemploymentல இருக்கிறவங்க is considerably less when you compare to the graduated unemployment. How is it possible? So is it wrong to get education? No, it isn't. The government should increase allocation for higher education and also improve the standard of higher education institutions so that students are imparted employable skills. Students should be imparted with employable skills. Very, very important. It should not be only with what to say, marks அப்படிங்கிறத தாண்டி you should teach them how to get the employment opportunities. We should make them ready to join jobs. அந்த மாதிரியான எஜுகேஷன் நம்ம கொடுக்கணும்னு சொல்கிறோம். So government should take steps towards what? They are giving the basic education. Fine. Next step அவங்க என்ன எடுக்கணும்? They should give some allocation for higher education and quality education should be provided. Okay, so what do we conclude by this அப்படின்னா the economic and social benefits of human capital formation and human development are known. என்னென்ன opportunities? Economic benefits, GDP increase, standard of living of people increase. Social benefit, they get a social status in the society. And we are taking a lot of steps. Union government irukattum, state government irukattum, or local government irukattum, each of them take many steps towards benefiting education and health, but it should be ensured that equity should be attained and at the same time it should reach everybody equally. It should reach the deserving candidates. Education irundhalum seri, health irundhalum seri, whatever policies and programs the government makes should reach till the last level of people. யாருக்கு நம்ம பண்ணுறோமோ அவங்க எல்லாரையுமே அது கவர் பண்ணியிருக்கான்னு நான் பார்க்கணும். இட் இஸ் நாட் ஓன்லி இனஃப் ஃபார் மீ டு ஜஸ்ட் கிவ் மீ த பாலிசிஸ். நான் க்ரியேட் பண்ணிவிட்டு வச்சுருக்கக்கூடாது. ஐ ஷுட் மேக் ஷுர் தட் இட் பெனிஃபிட்ஸ் த பீப்புள் ஃபார் ஹூம் ஐ ஹாவ் மேட் இட். யாருக்காக இதை பண்ணியிருக்கோமோ அவங்களுக்கு இது பெனிஃபிட் ஆயிருக்கா ஆகலையாங்கிறத ஐ ஷுட் டேக் கேர். ஸோ கவர்மெண்ட் ஷுட் டேக் கேர். ஸோ வாட் டு வி ரிக்வயர் அப்படின்னா we want qualitative health conditions and educational benefits so that we can utilize them properly. இதுக்காக நான் வெளிநாட்டுக்கு போய் படிக்கிறேன் or இந்த ஆப்ரேஷனுக்கு நான் வெளிநாட்டுக்கு போகிறேன், ஐ எம் மைக்ரேட்டிங் ஃபார் திஸ் ரீசன்கிறத குறைக்கணும். ஓகே, it should be made available within the country and it should be qualitative is the point. Understood? So that is the end of our chapter of human capital formation in India. In the next chapter we will move on to discuss about rural development, that is the village, how they are developing, what are the issues that we need to face there, anga nama concentrate panna vendiya vishayangal enna, all these things we will be discussing in the next session. If at all you have any doubts in chapter 5, please feel free to reach me out and get your doubts clarified. Thank you and may you all have a wonderful day today.